I have a theory that people don't really observe anymore. They look quickly and they go on. They glance, they read the sign. They don't really read the sign. They notice what it is. They don't read the letters. They don't take time to look. And in this society, when everything is moving so fast, I just think that's important to just stop, slow down, look at the details. And that's one of the things from the Street series is about, is actually taking the careful time that it takes to actually look at something and observe it fully. It took me a long time to realize that what I did was something that everyone couldn't do. I just assumed everyone could look at something and draw it, could express something three-dimensionally, two-dimensionally. It was so easy. And it took me a long time to realize that not everybody could do that. So I ended up going to Western and studying art, and I studied with Ivan Schieferdecker, who was teaching printmaking, and William Weaver, who was in ceramics, and I had a double major in those two areas of concentration. And if you think about the trash is it's really a combination of that printmaking and the ceramics. It's three-dimensional, it has a three-dimensional quality, and at the same time it's very graphic. In the trash pieces that I pick up, I find them interesting, and why I pick those particular pieces I really can't say. Sometimes they just appeal to me, sometimes I like the way that they're bent, sometimes they're an unusual product in an unusual place. But I take those to the studio and I recreate them as closely as I can to the actual object itself. I carved the trash pieces out of basswood. I started using pine and other woods, but they were so hard to deal with in terms of grain, and basswood became I could take a big step up because I could carve very accurately and only needed a coat or two of gesso to smooth out all the grain. And then I paint them with acrylic paint and try to get all the details, all of the folds, all the bends, all of the print on them. And then I rub them, rub dirt into them. It's really paint, but it looks like dirt. And I rub them into it. I want as realistic a thing as possible. And I really like the idea of that, first of all, that a dirty object is brought into a gallery, which is, you think of as having white walls, a very clean space. But then I really like the paradox that it's really not the object itself. Even though it looks like the object, it's a recreation. And they are, in a way, mini paintings. I see these little pieces of trash in terms of metaphors for life. I mean, these things have a little life. They all start out fresh and clean and pretty much the same, and they end up very individualized depending on whatever route they took. And there is sort of an implied narrative there that someone bought them, someone carried them, someone took them, used them, threw them away, threw the package away, and then I come upon it and find it, and bring that piece to the studio and carve it. So there is sort of an implied narrative there, and there is sort of a history in that little piece of trash. As far as the heads go, what I really wanted to do was to think about identities and personas and possibilities. I realized that by some freak of nature, I was born in the United States, a great country, freedom, a lot of choices, and I realize that most of the people in the world don't have that, at their command. And I wonder where I would have been, what I would have been, had I been raised in that sort of a situation.
Look at the sky, take your time. Look at yourself, and be all right. Look at the sky and keep your smile. Look at yourself, reflect a while. Look at the sky and take your time. Look at yourself and you'll be all right.
I wanted the heads to be very much heads. I didn't want them to be read as traditional sculpture, like a portrait bust or something like that. I wanted them to be very much just heads. And they do have a severed head quality about them. I have a very good friend in Nashville, and she and her husband have bought several of my pieces through the various series that I've worked on. But when she saw the head, she said, "No offense, but I will never have a head in my house. It just weirds me out." And they do have that effect sometimes. And especially some characters, too, weird people out. One friend described it as the most fun you'd ever have without having scars to show for it. And I can be an Elvis, or I can be a Lone Ranger, or I can be someone who got beat up or was in a car wreck, as in a piece called Trauma, which was all swelled and black-eyed and had suffered, obviously, some head trauma. They also have an eerie look about them because they are very just the head, very severed head, and just the head sitting there. And the eyes are as naturalistic as I can paint them often, but they become other characters and other players in a drama. Unfortunately, artists don't get to retire, so I see myself continuing this. Luckily, I feel like I've already retired. I know a lot of people who chose professional routes. They're doctors and dentists and lawyers and whatever. And what they really want, when I talk to them, is they want what I've been doing, which is going someplace that you really enjoy being and doing something you really enjoy doing. I made a promise to myself when I quit my last job that I was going to go to the studio and I was going to work first thing. I didn't want to turn the TV on or watch news or get involved in a soap opera. So I promised myself and my wife that I would go right to the studio first thing. And I've been doing that for over 20 years now. And when I get there, about 10 minutes after I'm there, I'm busy, I'm working on something, and then I don't want to go to lunch and I don't want to leave when it's time to leave. And that sort of tells me that I can tune into it and I can zone into it, and that's what I really like doing. I like showing, I like getting work out and having other people see it, but what I really like doing is being in the studio and working. And I can't see that ever stopping.